I hope this is fun for you to watch, whoever you are at home, on your couch or something. I hope this is exactly the kind of content you're looking for in the VGC YouTube space. Missed both attacks there, so Dondoza is free to go back to that order up now. Welcome back to VGC Legends. This is the series, of course, where I spin a wheel, get a random, legendary, or mythical Pokemon, speed build a team around that Pokemon, and try that team out on the Regulation J ladder on Pokemon Showdown. I do this, and I have been doing it for quite some time now for two reasons, one of which is that I just really like legendary and mythical Pokemon and want to try to give each one its due, and the other is that by building and trying out a whole bunch of different teams, some good, some bad, some in between, and some just weird, I have a fun little adventure here. Maybe not so little at this point, and maybe I'll learn some things as I go. Maybe. Two Pokemon remaining on the wheel. We are very near the end now, and the wheel has, it's done an interesting thing here, because either one of these would be a very, very fitting one to end on, right? Pecharunt was introduced in current generation, Gen 9, and is the current last Pokemon in National Pokedex order. And of course, Volcanion was introduced in Gen 6, the same generation that introduced the Kalos region, which just got a very brand new game in Legends ZA, and was the last Pokemon in National Dex order as of Generation 6. And I really hope Volcanion will show up in ZA. I'll be disappointed if it doesn't. It'll be funny if it already has by the time this video goes up. In any case, either one of these would be perfect to end on, but now we'll find out which one that will be and which one we're getting out of the way right now. Let's see. Just get past Pecharunt and jump to Volcanion. The last Pokemon on the wheel from Generation 6, leaving only the last Pokemon in the National Pokedex for next time. But it's time for Volcanion right now. Okay, so Volcanion is not a Pokemon I've ever thought all that much about using, partly because I mentioned in the Zarude episode that Zarude is one of two Pokemon I don't have in my own games. Volcanion is the other one, which is why I'm really hoping to get it in ZA. But yeah, not a mon I have much experience with. Looking at the stats though, I see high special attack, pretty good defense as well. Even the attack stat is pretty good, with the special defense notably lagging a bit behind, so no wonder people very often run the Assault Vest on this Pokemon. I have one more time looked at Munch stats to see what other people are doing with Volcanion. Assault Vest is the most common item. In fact, it has majority usage and is far ahead of anything else, with the most common moves being Steam Eruption, Heat Wave, Earth Power, and Flamethrower. Steam Eruption, of course, being Volcanion's signature move that is a stronger and slightly less accurate Scald. Overall, definitely worth it. A lot less power, with only a tiny bit less accuracy. And of course, you run double Fire Stab so that you can Flamethrower through opposing Wide Guard, although Flamethrower has a much lower usage rate than those first three moves. The most common Terra type is Ground, which makes perfect sense to me. It turns the electric weakness into an immunity, it turns the rock weakness into a resistance, and it switches off the ground weakness, so that's all of Volcanion's weaknesses at least somewhat accounted for. And then Terra Ground also gives you Stab on Earth Power, so then if you run the four most common attacks here, you have Stab on all of them. It does fit very well. The only reason it surprises me a little bit is when I think about what Volcanion can do in this game, right? Fire and water typing. It's immune to water as well with Water Absorb, so that shakes things up a fair bit. But then you resist Fairy, so that's helpful into Flutter Mane and other Fairy type attackers. Magearna, very helpful into Magearna. You also have that double resistance to Steel. Volcanion walling Magearna is pretty interesting, actually. One thing I locked onto before that is the double resistance to Ice, so that can help deal with Ice Rider Calyrex. The problem is you're weak to high horsepower. Then if you Terra Ground, you become weak to Glacial Lance, but then I guess it's just a matter of outplaying. But I think that's the most interesting thing about Volcanion, right? That it can... It's just very tanky with an Assault Vest. It has that burn chance with Steam Eruption, and then it can't wall a huge portion of the metagame, but there are some restricted Pokemon that are going to have trouble dealing with it. Like, Calyrex is at least not going to have a very fun time, the Ice Rider form that is. The Shadow Rider form isn't going to love facing you either because you have the Assault Vest. It walls Magirna. It is immune to Kyogre's Stab. So there are definitely a few things that it brings to the table. It also double resists the Fire-type damage from Koraidon, although of course not the Fighting-type damage. When I look at what teams it's commonly used on, the most common partners are Sun pieces and Balance pieces. Raging Bolt can be either of those, but you give Fluttermane and Koraidon. So Koraidon sets up the Sun. It powers up Volcanion's Fire Stab. It does weaken Steam Eruption, though. And then Volcanion can come in on Fairy-type damage intended for Koraidon. Maybe the Koraidon is less pressured to Terrasilize then, so that's something. Volcanion also can maybe help into Trick Room teams, especially the Magirna-centered ones, although... I mean, yeah, it can shut down a lot of what those can throw at you, like Torkoal and some Hatterene attacks and stuff as well, although Ursaluna is obviously a giant threat into Volcanion. You can bring other things for that. We got the Incineroar, the Brute Bonnet, so again, Sun Balance is kind of the feeling I'm getting here, but Koraidon is the most common restricted partner. When I look for the second most common one, it's Arceus. And we start to see what look like physical priority spam teams showing up as well. Chien-Pao, Rillaboom, Urshifu, Arceus. So I don't know what I want to build with this Pokemon. I feel like I'm not being very clearly pulled in any particular direction by those common teammates. There are a few options, and even then, none of them are super... There's no, like, dominant Volcanion team. All those Pokemon were in the 20s in usage with Volcanion, right? So... I've hit the recording button with a little bit less of a clear direction than I sometimes have. I really like that Volcanion walls Magirna. I like that it makes things a little bit harder, at least for Ice Rider Calyrex. You can burn it, you can threaten it with a Fire Stab, and Glacial Lance is doing like nothing to you. And there's an advantage, right, even in getting Calyrex to click high horsepower into your Volcanion, because then it's not clicking Glacial Lance into whatever else you have on your team. So even if it's not an amazing, you know, it's not like a hard counter or anything, there could be an advantage to be worked there. So, with that in mind, I like Rillaboom with Volcanion, right? They complement each other really well, and Rillaboom can help deal with its Urshifu problem. You got a Fire, Water, Grass core and 2 Pokemon right there. And then if that's largely my... And also Rillaboom could take away Psychic Terrain from Psy Spam teams. And if that's largely my Trick Room answer, then maybe I can workshop like a fast offensive team, or... I mean, maybe I do end up going in that Sun direction, right? Fast offensive or like bulky offensive team that would otherwise be weak to Trick Room, but these two do a lot of heavy lifting in that matchup. I think there's something to be said for that. Now, I do only get one more restricted partner. Again, the Volcanion itself being restricted. The most common one is Koraidon, which I think makes sense, right? Because if I want to go fast offense with these two as emergency buttons in Trick Room, or, I mean, this could be Brute Bonnet, or it could be... probably not a Moongus, but Brute Bonnet for sure. Brute Bonnet's an option. Calyrex is... Or, not Calyrex, excuse me. Koraidon is about as turbo fast offense focused as a restricted Pokemon gets. Again, the one thing I don't like is that it weakens Steam Eruption by setting up the Sun, because Volcanion would love to be clicking Steam Eruption often. If we just pencil in those 4 most common moves. Making the Fire Stab more threatening in the Sun is nice, but there is a significant trade-off. Let's say Terra Ground. I think it makes a lot of sense, right? So Koraidon is a strong option, but I do want to look at what else is available. Why are people running Volcanion on normal Arceus teams? Let me think. Those teams are not that vulnerable to Trick Room because they have strong priority, but I guess they are kind of vulnerable to some Lunala teams and, some Zamazenta teams as well. I haven't really been talking about the Volcanion Zamazenta matchup because Volcanion would be great into Zamazenta except for one key thing. It doesn't have any kind of resistance to body press. Maybe we consider a different Terra type just to deal with that. But yeah, Volcanion helps those Arceus, Extreme Speed Arceus teams to break Zamazenta. Can also help them deal with Zamazenta Shadow Rider teams by just using the Assault Vest to out-tank Shadow Rider. Lunala is a little bit tricky because a lot of them run Meteor Beam. Although with Terra Ground, you can turn off that weakness without opening any other weaknesses against Lunala, so there's Terra Ground coming in handy again. It's still then a neutral hit always from Zamazenta Body Press. Can't cover for everything in one Pokemon. Ground probably does enough that you just... We just need something else to shore up the Zamazenta matchup. I'm just not feeling that wowed by the Koraidon stuff. I mean, I'm not great with Koraidon teams in the first place. I'm not really sure I see the vision for how it comes together. I mean, you slap on like a Raging Bolt and a Flutter Mane, right? And you choose one of the two grass types. And then, okay. Raging Bolt is a Sun offensive piece that also enjoys support from Rillaboom, being in a core with Volcanion. There's clearly something here, right? But I'm not feeling amazed by it, and I don't love that the Sun weakens Steam Eruption. So maybe I do go in the other direction. Or maybe I do like a Shadow Rider focused team. I keep thinking about what Volcanion does in this format, and the number one thing that comes to mind is Walling Magearna. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's optimal for me to choose whatever kind of team will benefit most from that, but it does make me wonder why I'm using Volcanion if I don't need that role covered. But that's not the right way to think about it, right? That's backwards. I might not even see a Magearna in this laddering session. So I can't just focus all in on Volcanion doing that one thing. I need Volcanion to be able to do other things. And I think I like the pairing with Rillaboom. I like how it, on paper, can help to blow up some common threats into Arceus. I haven't used Swords Dance Arceus in a while. What would the last piece be? Probably not Entei, right? Because I've gone with this for my tanky offensive fire type. It obviously can't be Shadow Rider or Calyrex or Lunala because I've used my 2 restricted slots. I could run Raging Bolt on this team. It gives me another special attacker and keeps up the priority spam. I don't know, the more I think about it, the more I do see the vision with the Sun stuff, but... Or I could run Calm Mind something. I mean, I could run Calm Mind Raging Bolt and take advantage of Volcanion's burn chances. And that might be reasonable, actually, to have just like one Pokemon on the team go with that, because obviously the 30% burn from Steam Eruption is not consistent enough to build a whole game plan around it. We don't want to be relying on Pheasantipity Toxic Chain again here. But there may be a Pokemon that can situationally benefit, and also from Rillaboom giving it recovery and fake out support, and from these guys just commanding a lot of attention. I kind of just penciled Urshifu in without much thought, but it's probably fine here. Urshifu helps deal with some of the threats from rain teams, like Landorus, while Volcanion makes Kyogre's life harder. Yeah, I could do... also, the Assault Vest isn't available for Raging Bolt because it's on Volcanion, so I could do Calm Mind Raging Bolt on this team. Honestly, at this point, the team kind of feels like it wants an Incineroar, but we've got a restricted fire type already. It's fine. I don't know. I feel like I said that I wasn't being pulled in a clear direction by the Munch Stats data, but I actually feel like I'm being pulled in 2 directions at this point, and it's just hard to pick one. Because I definitely see... I didn't at first, but I do now see the path with Koraidon, Flutter Mane, Raging Bolt. Maybe still Rillaboom, maybe Brute Bonnet. And I don't know what the last one would be. Maybe even like a single Striker Shifu. I think, in the end, I think the Sun is going to be the deciding factor. I think I want to click Steam Eruption without being worried about compromising on its power, so... And I haven't used Swords Dance Arceus in a while, so we'll go with this. Does Swords Dance Arceus run Clear Amulet or Life Orb now? I don't know. I mean, while I have Munch Stats already open, I could check. Wow, Arceus is way more used than Volcanion. Clear Amulet, most common, and then it's actually Choice Band next, which I'm definitely not running here. It's not a huge difference in usage, but I'll go with the majority. Clear Amulet. What are they doing for the Terra type? Just normal to power up the extreme speed? I guess I'm alright with that. Actually, how do I beat Zamazenta with this? Is a big question. What are the common teammates for this Arceus? Shadow Rider, Incineroar, Dondozo. Just looking at things that I don't already have here. Well, maybe Raging Bolt can help me with Zamazenta. But we're just going to have to call it a known weakness to an extent. Urshifu can crit it through the Dauntless Shield boost as well, which might be useful depending on its Terra type. And we just Swords Dance, Extreme Speed. What did I run last time? Shadow Claw? Looks like a lot of them are still running Shadow Claw. Not quite a majority, but these are the 4 most common moves. Good enough for me. And we're definitely going to go max attack. Figure out the rest later. Rillaboom. Terra Fire. Grassy Surge I already put in. Oh, this can't have the Assault Vest because Volcanion has it. I'm so used to running Assault Vest Rillaboom like exclusively. What else does this do? I could run a Choice Band. But I don't think I want to because I think I want to be able to click Fake Out. There's always Miracle Seed. You know what? We're gonna Munch Stats this a little bit more. This is a good thing to be doing if you're building somewhat more seriously than I'm doing right now. Assault Vest used by about 2/3 of Rillaboom. Choice Band is next, but I don't want that. And then, yeah, the next items are Meadow Plate and Miracle Seed, which do the same thing. And there's not much to speak of below that. Like, Covert Cloak is under 1% usage. Alright. I don't love it, actually. It is a little bit maybe of a weak link in this team that I don't have the Assault Vest available for Rillaboom, and I don't want to run the Choice Band on it. It doesn't have to be Calm Mind Raging Bolt. I just thought it would be neat. Burns are valuable independent of that. I'm starting to talk myself into Choice Band Rillaboom is what you're hearing right now. Right, I could just do like a Booster Energy, 3 attacks, Raging Bolt. Alright, yeah, let's just keep it simple, actually. I'm not that big a believer. I mean, Grass Boosting item Rillaboom is okay. I'm not like a huge non-believer in it. But I think I'd rather just do as much damage as I can. Am I sure? No, I'm not sure, but... I'm not sure. What does it run if not Fake Out? Almost all of them run Fake Out, so I guess even with the Choice Band they still do. I guess that's still situationally useful. I'm not sure. I'm going to stick with what I said. Meadow Plate. Maybe I'll get some insight, depending on how this actually turns out. Grassy Glide, not High Horsepower, Wood Hammer. I mean, I could run High Horsepower, but I think I'm fine with U-Turn. It's nice to be able to pivot it around Miraidon. I have to be able to beat Farigiraf with this team, too. Which makes me not love the Shadow Claw Arceus that much. This is hard-walled by Farigiraf. But what else am I using? Does it get Knockoff or Throat Chop? I think probably it doesn't, and that's why people run Shadow Claw. Alright, well, Qianpao should have an attack to hit Farigiraf then. So as much as I've enjoyed Taunt Qianpao, I don't think this is the time for it. I think it's Icicle Crash, or I could do Ice Spinner. They seem to be running Ice Spinner again now. I have terrain control already with the Rillaboom. I'll go higher upside, Icicle Crash. Throat Chop on this, Sucker Punch, and Protect. As much as I've enjoyed Taunt, I think this team needs that Dark type attack that is not stopped by Farigiraf. Urshifu, conveniently enough, the one item I always run on this thing is, well, almost always, is available. I'm so used to Scarf or Shifu that like I don't know how to handle the speed interactions when I don't have a Scarf on it. So we'll stick with this. Having U-turn on a couple of mons is also potentially helpful into Farigiraf. And then, am I sure about Calm Mind Raging Bolt? I am not sure about Calm Mind Raging Bolt. We've established that already, but let's just try it with Leftovers, Terra Fairy, Thunderclap, and maybe I just go double electric attack here. Maybe I don't worry about the Dragon Stab. Depends on what I needed to do, I guess. Once again, depends on what I needed to do. This is kind of a tricky team to put together for a speed building series like this because there are a lot of little nuances that where I'm just kind of throwing up my hands and picking a lane eventually. It would be a fun team to workshop over time, but that's just not what this series is about. Maybe I should just do a booster energy Raging Bolt. Maybe I should. Okay, you know what? I've changed my mind. Choice Band Rillaboom. We'll keep Fake Out for its situational value, but we'll try to remember not to click it much. I'll keep the U-turn still. And then Booster Energy, Raging Bolt. I think I want all three of Thunderclap, Thunderbolt, and Dragon Attack, so in the end, there's not really room for Calm Mind. Might have been fun, but we'll just go all-out offense here. This will boost special attack, of course. Rillaboom will just hit as hard as possible. I just have to remember, like I have to have it in the back of my mind not to click Fake Out as much as I normally would. Maybe even never click it in the whole video, just only in just the right position. Which actually might be good experience for me because I do think the best Rillaboom players use the threat of Fake Out without actually clicking the move a lot of the time to get the positions they want. Bluffing a Fake Out is a very valuable skill, and I'm not great at that. I often do just click the move, and sometimes I'm punished for it in positions where it would have been better for me to attack or pivot, maybe even bring in an Incineroar if I had that on the team, and preserve the Fake Out pressure instead of just using it immediately. So maybe using Choice Band Rillaboom will actually be good practice for me to get me thinking a little bit differently about how to use Fake Out. And in any case, this team is ready to just start blasting. I'll fill in some offensive EV spreads, some of them also kind of bulky, on Volcanion especially, of course, with the Assault Vest. And we're going to rely on Volcanion to patch up some holes so that the rest of its teammates are free to get their favorable matchups and start blasting. And we'll see how that goes. And this is the team exactly as advertised, except I realized I didn't want Terra Fairy Raging Bolt anymore if I wasn't going for a bulkier set and was just going for Booster Energy Offense, so I've changed it to Terra Electric to power up that Thunderclap and that Thunderbolt while also turning off the Fairy and Ice weaknesses, if situationally ever those things are useful. I also thought about something kind of odd as far as the Rillaboom practice goes, which is I'm generally very particular about what order I put my moves in. I just sort of... There's not really logic to it. I mean, there is, but it's kind of arbitrary. Just certain move orders feel right to me, and sometimes I get a little bit annoyed in a video when I'm using someone else's pace and they have, like, Fake Out in the third move slot or something, because Fake Out is a first slot move. Of course, obviously. So I thought about dropping Fake Out in the order this time to discourage me to click it so often, because I kind of think having a move in the first slot might bias me to clicking it often, but I have decided not to do that. I thought about dropping it down to the fourth slot or something, but generally, if I'm using like an Assault Vest Rillaboom or something, I'm kind of particular about my move order. I'm going to put Fake Out in the first slot. If I'm going to get any kind of practice being very conservative about clicking it, it probably should be in the spot that I'm going to have it in on a team that doesn't force me to be conservative like that, even when it might be optimal. So that's kind of an odd thing that I thought about while I was finishing the team, but Fake Out does in fact stay in that first slot. Never mind Wolf Glick's long-standing advice to have Protect in the first slot. That just doesn't fit my arbitrary sense of how things should be. Protect is the last slot move. Anyway, that's the Volcanion team. Once again, look at what Game Freak has taken from us, or rather never really given to us in the first place, because Volcanion is shiny locked. So it's going to be red here, not yellow. That's fine. The yellow one looks a little odd, but It would be interesting. That's for sure. It definitely stands out. Anyway, first opponent here has Kyogre, Zacian, Urshifu, Amoonguss, Chien-Pao, and Tornadus. Okay. Oh, I didn't even think about Zacian when I was going over things that Volcanion can do, but this is really good actually, right? Because Volcanion resists both of Zacian's stabs, and it's immune to Kyogre's stab. Terra Ground Zacian might make Volcanion a little bit sad, but even then, if I Terra Ground Volcanion, I don't resist Zacian's stabs anymore, but I'm still not weak to either of them, and with Water Absorb, still immune to Kyogre's stab, so can't be punished by a Water Spout. So Volcanion looks great into this person's restricted duo. If it's Rapid Strike or Shifu, even better, because I can't Surging Strike Volcanion. Volcanion kind of just sits on the field against this team, doesn't it? To an extent. I can also Fire Move Amoonguss, although that's not so effective in Rain. But this is battle number 1 of the Volcanion video, and I've been yapping through a lot of the team preview time. I kind of want to just throw Volcanion at them immediately. I'm just not sure what the rest of the game plan is around that. If Volcanion is afraid of anything, it's probably Amoonguss in Rain. Let's lead Chien-Pao with it. Bring Arceus in the back, and I can do Rillaboom, but I think I'm going to do Urshifu, because with the Choice Scarf I can get a speed advantage outside of their Tailwind. I can take advantage of their Rain with my Surging Strikes. That has some things going for it. Another thing that looks good for me is my opponent leading with 2 fire weaknesses and no Rain yet. They could switch Kyogre in, but I'll try a Heat Wave, see if they let me just do big damage with this, and I'll go for an Icicle Crash into Amoonguss immediately, because I don't really want that Pokemon messing with me. Terra Water Amoonguss. I guess I could have read that and clicked, like, Throat Chop into Amoonguss. I suppose that would have been better. We still get big Heat Wave damage, breaking the Sash on Chien-Pao, and Amoonguss is flinched by the Icicle Crash, so that actually pays off very nicely. I can go for Steam Eruption into Chien-Pao here. If they switch Kyogre in, I get the Rain Boost and the damage. I always have the Burn chance. 95% chance to knock out Chien-Pao. They could Rage Powder. But honestly, burning the Amoonguss wouldn't be the worst thing. And I will go for a Throat... yeah, I'll go for a Throat Chop into Amoonguss here. Chien-Pao protects, okay. Amoonguss survives, and it has a Rocky Helmet, so it breaks my Sash. So maybe I should have doubled into Amoonguss there, as Volcanion does take a nap. We'll just try to wake it up here. I'm down to Sucker Punch their Chien-Pao. Potentially get ahead of it going for an attack. Yep, that works. Very nice. And they go Zacian here. Okay. I mean, a Heat Wave looks great here. But of course I would need Volcanion to wake up. Also, my Chien-Pao is now nerfing my Volcanion's ability to take physical hits, so I might want to switch Chien-Pao out. The Zacian being unable to Terra Ground here, if it has that, is nice, though. I feel like Volcanion should be okay to take a hit from Zacian, and it has a chance to wake up. If I think I should just switch Chien-Pao out to Urshifu. Rage Powder, but I went for Heat Wave again, so that's fine. If Volcanion wakes up, which it doesn't, okay. I think I'm down to Heat Wave again and Surging Strike the Amoonguss here. Okay, Amoonguss switches out to Kyogre. Might have preferred Surging Strikes into Zacian. It took so long to switch the Kyogre in, I thought it might not ever happen. They take out Urshifu with a Play Rough. Does Volcanion wake up? Yes. The Heat Wave is going to be nerfed now. They can click Thunder into Volcanion, so I might want to think about Terra Ground here, actually. I don't have great Zacian answers, though, apart from Volcanion itself. If I go Chien-Pao, I threaten a Sucker Punch into Kyogre. Actually, I don't think I need to Terrestrialize Volcanion this turn. I'll just go for Steam Eruption into Zacian and Sucker Punch into Kyogre. Kyogre switches out. Zacian protects, though. Not ideal. Don't love that for me. All because I didn't manage to take out the Amoonguss. Now it's here to cause trouble again. Let's see if they let me take it out now, but Zacian will outspeed Chien-Pao, and I couldn't Sucker Punch there because Amoonguss didn't click an attack. Steam Eruption does big damage in the rain, but not quite big enough to take out Amoonguss. And now I'm down to just my restricted duo. It's not a bad restricted duo to have in this matchup. I think I'll just Extreme Speed Amoonguss and Steam Eruption Zacian. I think I'm too far behind to be messing with Swords Dance or something right now. Unfortunately, this does leave Arceus open to attack, but they actually go for Play Rough into Volcanion instead. That fairy resistance really does come in handy there. And actually, with Zacian gone, Zacian was the giant threat here. It took way longer to remove than I wanted, but Volcanion is immune to Kyogre's water attacks. It is immune to Thunder if I Terrasilize it. It's weak to Ice Beam if I Terrasilize it, but some of them don't run Ice Beam, and they're probably not clicking it into this double resistance here. So I think I'm good to Terra Ground here. Steam Eruption Kyogre and Extreme Speed Amoonguss. And Terra Ground Volcanion should probably clutch this up. It is Ice Beam and Volcanion. Well, good job by my opponent. They nailed that one, but I think Arceus wins from here. Kyogre does take 1 Extreme Speed, but the rain is over. Hydro Pump does not KO Arceus, and I guess unless they get like 7 Protects in a row. No, I've clicked Extreme Speed a couple times. Unless they get Quintuple Protect, I'm fine, but they don't even go for the double, so Arceus does win. And so Volcanion being able to sit on the field for a long time, I mean, this is pretty much the best restricted duo you could ask for. you could ask to face with a Volcanion. But it being able to sit on the field for a long time against these two restricteds came in very, very handy here. And in the end, I was careful with the timing of my Terra, but my opponent actually punished it anyway. That was a great Ice Beam by them, but it was too late. Or it wasn't enough, you could say. Indeedee, Shadow Rock. Oh, geez, is this going to be minimized Baton Pass, Drifblim? Oh boy, well, that was a fun first game. The second game, I'm gonna want to get my offense going quickly if I can. Volcanion into Dondozo is weird because so much depends on the set. Obviously, Volcanion is immune to Wave Crash. One thing I'm learning is that actually Water Absorb is really nice in this format. There are a lot of strong water attacks, but a lot of Dondozo run Earthquake. And even if this one doesn't run Earthquake, it probably runs Order Up, right? And that's neutral and stacks damage. This is the attack boosting Tatsugiri form. The bigger things are, number 1, I don't want to let Eternatus set up for free. Number 2, I don't want to let Drifblim set up for free. Number 3, I don't want to let Calyrex just attack my stuff for free. That's a lot right there. I feel like Arceus Chien-Pao lead is okay with Rillaboom in the back. Arceus can Swords Dance, Chien-Pao can pressure any kind of setup they go for, Rillaboom can change the terrain if need be. So Arceus, Chien-Pao, Rillaboom. I want to bring Volcanion, because it's Volcanion's video. And I think it's okay. I think it broadly has like reasonable matchups into all these Pokemon. I think Raging Bolt is probably more optimal, but I want to bring Volcanion, so that's what's happening. Indeedee, Drifblim, it's going to be like Follow Me, Minimize or something. So let's just try to knock... Arceus also can't attack the Indeedee, which is not really something I accounted for properly here. I was thinking about like Shadow Claw into Calyrex if they led with that. It has no way to attack the Indeedee, so actually I either switch it out or Swords Dance here. But if I switch it out, presumably that's into Rillaboom. And then what? What does Rillaboom do to Drifblim? I think I'm just going to Swords Dance. It's probably the wrong play, but I'm going to try it. Okay, called their move. I mean, it's pretty obvious. We one-shot Indeedee. Arceus gets its Swords Dance. There's no more Follow Me on the board. There is Dondozo. This is weird, because if you Baton Pass to Tatsugiri, Tatsugiri doesn't benefit from those boosts while it's inside Dondozo. Of course, it does benefit from after Dondozo goes down. But maybe it's just solo Dozo with the Calyrex. I think that makes sense. Or the Eternatus. I think any of that makes sense. With that in mind, this gets punished if Tatsugiri switches in. But I don't think it will from the way they've played this so far. So I'm going to go Shadow Claw into the Drifblim slot. And I guess I double the Drifblim slot. I'm just making a hard read that they don't have Tatsugiri and hoping I'm right. Tatsugiri switches into the other slot and it's Baton Pass into Dondozo there. Okay, I didn't account for that possibility. And now they get Dondozo with all these boosts. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think about the chance that it was set up like that. And obviously it's unaware Dondozo. I can use the high Shadow Claw crit rate to get past the stat boost, potentially. I don't think I have anything else going for me here. I guess I switch Rillaboom in. Do I switch Rillaboom in? Does Grassy Terrain benefit me? I'm clicking Shadow Claw anyway, right? Okay, let's just do this turn. Buy a bit of time to think. Shadow Claw misses. Let's order up into Chien-Pao. This Dondozo is just going to snowball. I mean, yeah, I called out exactly what kind of team this was, but I didn't know how to deal with it with what I'm using. They get to recover there. Or they get leftovers recovery for free is what I mean. I mean, if I go Rillaboom, at least I can pressure out a Terra, right? One would think. I am giving more recovery to the Dondozo this way, and I don't get a crit there. It has Substitute. Not surprising on this team. Makes perfect sense. It can protect here. I'll just Woodhammer. Lock Rillaboom into its biggest damage move. I mean, obviously if Dondozo goes down, I'm in a great spot, but I have to make that happen somehow, and that's not in my favor. The Substitute also gives us some insurance against a crit. That forces out the Terra. Which, like, I mean, I guess I forced them to make a commitment on that, I guess. I missed both of my attacks. That's pretty unlucky, and only +2 evasiveness. Yeah, even if I crit a Shadow Claw now, it just goes into the Substitute, right? Do I select Volcanion here? I mean, no. Volcanion can... So all of my Pokemon except Arceus now have super effective coverage into the Dondozo. For whatever that's worth. I probably still have to crit it. And have broken the Substitute already, right? But yeah, I think I'd rather click Fire Move or Icicle Crash than Woodhammer, so we let Rillaboom go down. Protect. Honestly, it's been so long talking there, I forgot and didn't check whether it had protected last turn. It seems to be happy alternating between protect and not protect. Shadow Claw, Woodhammer. Shadow Claw misses again. Now they're attacking Arceus. Woodhammer doesn't break the sub. Rillaboom is, of course, choice locked into Woodhammer. I can't switch to another move, and I don't want to switch to another Pokemon. Shadow Claw, no crit, still doesn't break the sub. Woodhammer misses. Dondozo, by the way, got to full HP a little bit ago. Shadow Claw breaks the sub this time, but Arceus goes down, so I don't get that high crit rate anymore on any of my moves. I've missed so many times. I feel like a crit is very justified at this point. They're going to protect, but what if they don't? So I'm just going to Icicle Crash. Actually, they're going to protect. I'm going to Icicle Crash and switch to Volcanion here. Probably should have done something like that earlier. They don't protect. Icicle Crash does a lot of damage, but it doesn't crit. And they take out Chien-Pao. I am just playing for some kind of crit at this point, realistically. Am I going to choice lock Rillaboom into U-turn? I think I have to. And Flamethrower with Volcanion. Dondozo protects. But I mean, these two Pokemon can only attack anyway. It doesn't really make any... There's no value in me trying to read the protects here. It doesn't change anything about my play. Unless I want to save Flamethrower PP later. U-turn. Flamethrower. Those two moves together break the sub. But Dondozo has just shown that it's faster than my Pokemon. It can keep setting up subs and fishing for me to miss. I hope this is fun for you to watch. Whoever you are at home. On your couch or something. I hope this is exactly the kind of content you're looking for in the VGC YouTube space. Missed both attacks there, so Dondozo's free to go back to that order up now. But protects first. Does it only use 6 protects? It feels like a lot more than that. I just thought, I'll check its PP, maybe it's getting low, but nope. Ah. Dive! To burn more of my PP, I see. Alright. Okay, I'm gonna have to change, and it's a +6 attack, so that actually does a lot to Rillaboom. I'm gonna have to change my clicks with Volcanion a little bit. In fact, I'm gonna start going for Earth Power, because I actually want Never mind. I actually want Rillaboom to be the one to break this up. I missed the attack anyway, so it doesn't matter. Tried to make a little bit of a play there I tried to do something there. I wanted to, yeah, Dondozo using Substitute. Something I was running into that I should have adjusted for sooner. Actually, now we know that Flamethrower one-shots the Substitute. We never got to see that before. Flamethrower was my big damage. And so, if I were smarter about this, I would earlier have started avoiding Flamethrower when there was a sub up, so that Rillaboom could break the sub, and Volcanion would have that chance to hit Dondozo afterward. But I didn't think of that until it was too late. I mean, this is obviously an incredibly disadvantageous position, just badly stacked against me regardless. But there were, yeah, I think there were a handful of marginal things I could have done in this game to somewhat improve my chances of breaking through. And I didn't find some of them. But even so, this was always going to be brutally hard to break. It was not in my favor, but I think I could have managed the probabilities better. Remember when Volcanion was just walling a Zacian and a Kyogre? That was a simpler time. We should return to that. This game will not be a return to that. Instead, it's a whole third kind of thing. We've got Ice Rider, Calyrex, Miraidon, Grimmsnarl, Urshifu, Incineroar, and Landorus. So, Arceus looks good here. It's a Miraidon team without Farigiraf. I would love to set Arceus up against this. Volcanion might be a little bit awkward here. It loses to Miraidon, except situationally if I Terra Ground in the right position. It's a mixed bag into Ice Rider Calyrex, as discussed at length earlier. It also kind of loses to Landorus, because Landorus is faster and Volcanion is weak to ground. Although the Assault Vest and Steam Eruption make things a little bit more interesting. But I'm not even sure I bring Volcanion to this game, is the point. I want Arceus, I want Champao, I want Rillaboom. I'm going to go Arceus, Champao, Rillaboom. I'm not sure leading Arceus is correct, but we'll try it. And then what? Raging Bolt is not that great here. Urshifu is pretty reasonable here, actually. With the Scarf and my opponent not having Tailwind. I think we leave Volcanion behind for this one and bring Urshifu. Calyrex, Incineroar, okay. So yeah, I didn't want to lead... I thought about leading Rillaboom instead of Arceus, but I didn't want to lead it into something like this. I'm gonna try to Throat Chop the Calyrex. Guess that the Fake Out goes into Arceus. That guess works out. We get some damage into Calyrex. Not amazing damage after Champao is intimidated, but they've set up Trick Room, sure. But now I can... Is it Will-O-Wisp Incineroar? It's probably going to be Will-O-Wisp Incineroar, isn't it? Well, I'm just going to double into Calyrex and hope that I can take it out here. That would be great. Arceus takes a little bit more than half from a Glacial Lance. They actually just Flare Blitz Champao, which I think is okay, as Shadow Claw takes out the Calyrex. Alright. So that's their biggest Trick Room threat gone, and they've set up Trick Room. I could go Urshifu here, but with the Scarf, it's kind of actively bad in Trick Room. I think I'm actually better off going Rillaboom. Oh, but they're going to get Terrain Control now, because, yeah, Trick Room flips the speed interactions. So they get their Electric Terrain. Do I just sack Urshifu? But I have to beat Incineroar. How do I beat Incineroar? Is this a situation where I click Fake Out? I could Swords Dance and Fake Out Miraidon here. And then what, switch Rillaboom out? I know what I said about what I'm trying to practice, but I actually think that's a reasonable play in this very awkward position. That Fake Out does quite a bit with the Choice Band. Incineroar is happy to throw Flare Blitz around. It ignores Arceus, conveniently. Now I want my Extreme Speed to take out Terra Normal, because I want my Extreme Speed to take out Miraidon. Let's hope it does at +2, I don't know. I'll switch Rillaboom out for Urshifu. If I take out Miraidon and they Flare Blitz Urshifu, then I get Urshifu through this turn. And maybe I sack Rillaboom on the last Trick Room turn to get Urshifu positioned to win the game. Crit Smear. Okay, we'll take that crit on Miraidon. It is Flare Blitz into Urshifu. There's so many scarier things that an Incineroar could have done in this position. I wonder what their set is. I also wonder whether this is Scarf Urshifu. like mine. Although in the mode they... Or, no, that's not what I wonder. I wonder if it's Sash or Shifu. That's what I mean. Then it would take an extreme speed. But can I just beat it with my Rillaboom anyway? Like, if I just extreme speed Incineroar here and close combat their Urshifu, it looks like the game ended. I didn't even need to bring Rillaboom back in. They finally attack Arceus again, but it's too late. And they leave their Urshifu vulnerable to my Urshifu, and it's not Sash or Shifu, so actually close combat just takes it out. But yeah, the point was I had Rillaboom Grassy Glide in the back if I needed it. Alright, that one went a lot more smoothly than the Dondozo game. But I didn't bring Volcanion to that one, so does it even really count? One could question my decision very early in this series that I don't have to bring the featured Pokemon to every single game. I still have kind of forced it sometimes though, so I think it's a fine enough balance. I was trying to answer a message, but I guess I can do it after this game. Miraidon, Alola, and Raichu. Interesting. Cool Pokemon. Extremely fast in electric terrain. Not usually very strong. Urshifu, Tornadus, Dragapult. Also extremely fast. And Zacian. So they got a very, very fast team against my somewhat priority spam, although I've not really been playing it super like priority spam. I love Volcanion into Zacian. I don't love it into Miraidon and Raichu. I kind of don't love it into Dragapult either, because I don't have a great threat into Dragapult with Volcanion. But maybe I can make something work here. I think terrain control with Rillaboom could be pretty valuable. I think it would be reasonable for me to lead Arceus Champao again. And I could bring Rillaboom in if it's the electric terrain buddies. I don't know if that's the best lead here, but let's try it. And I think I will bring Volcanion this time as an emergency button into Zacian. I don't exactly know how this game plan comes together, but those are the basic pieces, I think. Raichu, Miraidon. A lot of Miraidon run Terra Fairy, so as much as I'd like to just Sucker Punch and Extreme Speed it, that's not great. That also has the other problem that Raichu probably has Fake Out. I think I switch Rillaboom in here. I'm gonna go... do I go for a Swords Dance on Arceus? Arceus could, once again, very easily be the fake-out target. I'm not feeling as confident about it this time. If I successfully pull off a Swords Dance, that puts me in a very good spot, I think. But if I just get faked out and then they attack Arceus, that's very bad for me. But I think this is a team that plays aggressively, so... Switch Champao to Rillaboom, Swords Dance with Arceus. The fake-out does go into the Champao slot, and then it's just Dazzling Gleam from Miraidon. No Hadron Engine to be seen. I have a couple of options into Raichu here. So I think Raichu probably has their Focus Sash. And I think I probably don't want to let it stick around and be disruptive. So I can Extreme Speed Grassy Glide, double priority to take it out. Or I can Extreme Speed U-turn because Rillaboom tends to want to pivot out against Miraidon. But what am I bringing in anyway? So, like, am I switching in one of these guys in front of Miraidon? Let's just Extreme Speed and Grassy Glide the Raichu slot. They switch Miraidon out to Dragapult. They're going to let me have the Raichu. That's good. We don't get to see whether that has Nuzzle or something to further mess with me. Which is good. I don't want to get to see that. Miraidon comes in here. My opponent gets terrain control. But how well do they take +2 extreme speed? I could Terra Normal here as well. I want to take out Miraidon if I can. Terra Normal +2 extreme speed. I'll just Grassy Guide the slot as well as a follow-up in case it's necessary. Once again, it might be optimal to switch Rillaboom out here, but what am I switching into this position? I think this is just not a game where I switch much. Although there was that first turn one. Yeah, Extreme Speed takes out the Miraidon. Dragon Darts chips my stuff. Dragapult being immune to Extreme Speed is a little bit awkward because it can go for another attack before I can Extreme Speed it. And if I go for Shadow Claw, Zacian outspeeds Arceus. I actually think I might be better off. Do I need Champao? Champao is nice for being able to Sucker Punch Dragapult, right? What I was thinking is I might be better off switching in Champao and just getting as strong and extreme speed as I can into Zacian before Arceus goes down. Especially since Rillaboom can't really do very much in this position. Choice locked into Grassy Glide. But I think I would rather... No, actually, I think that's okay. I think Chien-Pao probably survives the turn and can still Sucker Punch Dragapult after. If not, then maybe that's a little bit awkward, but I like these aggressive plays that I'm making in this game. Arceus took quite a bit there from that extreme speed. I think the priority for Zacian here is to attack Arceus. Zacian, I said Arceus took a lot. Zacian took a lot from the extreme speed. I think the priority here for Zacian is to attack Arceus. I was thinking about what Pokemon to bring in next, because Volcanion is good into Zacian, but I'd probably rather get rid of Dragapult if I can before I bring Volcanion in. But they forfeited before I could commit to a decision. Chien-Pao was looking to Sucker Punch Dragapult there. Dragapult often run choice items, so I'm not confident that it has Protect, but it's a versatile Pokemon, it could have Protect. It also could Terrastallize, and I have no idea what its Terra type is, although Ghost is very common, and of course that wouldn't help it into Sucker Punch. So I was making an educated guess that Sucker Punch into Dragapult was pretty safe this turn. I don't know for sure. The fact that my opponent forfeited suggests that it probably was very safe. If I know that I can guarantee the KO with that Sucker Punch, then I'm fine to bring Volcanion in here, and Volcanion probably just beats Zacian, although it could be Terra Ground Zacian. But then that would lose to Rillaboom in the end game. So in the end, I think I was better off bringing Volcanion in before Rillaboom right now. And I guess that's the play I would have made, assuming I had time to think that all the way through. But my opponent forfeited, so I didn't have to think it through. You could say the mere threat of Volcanion in the back delivered that win for me. I like to look at it that way. That's very flattering to the Pokemon that I'm choosing to feature here. Seems like the ladder has slowed down a little bit. Took a little bit of time to find that last game, and it is again now. Okay, I am actually going to answer that message right now. It'll be very quick. Okay. Shadow Rider, Calyrex, Smeargle, Urshifu. Oh man, this is Group on it, Zacian or Zamazenta, Murkrow. This is exactly what I was talking about not wanting to have to deal with, right? Having a tricky matchup into, right? Trick Room with Urshifu. Although, where's the Trick Room? Maybe this isn't a Trick Room team. The only Trick Room setters are what? Calyrex and Smeargle? Neither one is especially likely. Maybe it's just Tailwind or Urshifu. But then there's the Brute Bonnet. They could have Trick Room on something surprising. But I think the Tailwind stuff is the more obvious threat here, which could be, you know, trying to bait me, but I can't just ignore it. This team definitely feels like it has a very particular strategy that I'm not completely sniffing out right now. But I like Rillaboom Chien-Pao quite a lot as a lead into this. I think Rillaboom, I think a standard Assault Vest Rillaboom could be more useful here because it could change its moves, but I think even Grassy Glide could be very disruptive into this, and I think I'm running out of time. I'm going to bring Arceus and Urshifu. Sorry, Volcanion. I just don't quite see the role for you clearly in this game, as much as Steam Eruption or Fire Attack into Zamazenta could be very valuable. Look at Zamazenta leading from my opponent and shutting down what I've led with here. I think I'm safe here, though, to... Oh, you know what? Maybe I did need Volcanion, because I don't know how I beat Zamazenta. I think I just have to hit it really hard with Surging Strikes outside of my opponent's Tailwind, and that's like all I've got. That's tricky, though. Terra Ghost Chien-Pao could also come in handy here. I might just go for that early, actually. But I still need to do damage to Zamazenta. Maybe it's better to save the Terra Water for Urshifu. I'm going to Grassy Glide and Icicle Crash the Murkrow here. That Grassy Glide does a lot, actually. Is it not Eviolite Murkrow? Could be Sash, I guess. They knock Chien-Pao down to the Sash here. That's what I thought about trying to avoid with the Terra Ghost. But of course, Chien-Pao still survives the hit. I just want to take out Murkrow this turn. And I might need the Terra Water on Urshifu. That's why I didn't commit the Terra to Calyrex here, or to Chien-Pao here. Although it might have been very helpful into this Calyrex position. I'm going to protect Chien-Pao here, keep it around a little bit longer. It helps me stall out their Tailwind. That Choice Band Grassy Glide does so much damage to the Shadow Rider Calyrex. You love to see it. They take out Rillaboom here. But now, even though they Terrestrialized Calyrex, I can Sucker Punch it. Actually, maybe better still, because they Terrestrialized it, I can Extreme Speed it. I think I just double it with those attacks, and Zamazenta can only take 1 KO, and then I get out of their Tailwind. After protecting the next turn, the problem is Urshifu can't protect. That's a pretty big issue with this idea. But if I just keep the Calyrex honest, maybe I can take a hit and deal with the Zamazenta. I still have to actually beat the Zamazenta. I don't think Surging Strike's one-shots. I'm glad they've used their Terra already. I don't know that this is the best play. Honestly, my best play here might be to protect Arceus and try to get the double protect with Chien-Pao. It's only a 1 in 3, and it still might be the best I can do in this position. But I don't trust it right now, so I'm going to do the first thing I said. Double priority attack the Calyrex. Actually, I only needed one of those priority attacks. I could have chipped the Zamazenta with like Shadow Claw or something. They take out Chien-Pao here. Yeah, I don't think that was right either. I think Shadow Claw into Zamazenta was better than... There was no value in both of my Pokemon attacking the Calyrex. I think that was just a mistake. Anyway, let's try to take it out now. And I guess I will just Terra Water Surging Strike the Zacian, or the Zamazenta, and hope for the best. If Urshifu survives the turn, and it does because they attack Arceus instead, then Urshifu will outspeed Zamazenta now that their Tailwind is over. And they've already used their Terra. The one thing I really don't want to see here is Brute Bonnet or Smeargle. Either one of them can redirect my attack. Ursaluna is not great to see here either, but it can't Terrestrialize. I think I actually Surging Strike Ursaluna here and knock it out. I'll protect Arceus. Surging Strike Ursaluna. They can't protect around this. We deny that Pokemon the ability to become a threat, but I have turned down the KO on Zamazenta to do that. Body Press goes into Urshifu. Okay, Urshifu survives. The fact that they had no prior damage on Urshifu comes in clutch here. I have 2 Pokemon against 1. I just Shadow Claw Surging Strikes, and Surging Strikes should take the KO anyway. Alright, I did make a suboptimal play on that one turn, attacking Calyrex with both of my Pokemon, when that didn't give me any marginal advantage over attacking it with only one of them. But I got enough right in the end game to still close that one out. Unfortunately, this team is... I mean, yeah, go figure. These physical spam teams are really strong. It's performing very well when I don't bring Volcanion. But Volcanion really only has one statement game so far in that very first one. Nothing is taking that away, obviously, but I've got to get Volcanion into more of these games. I guess it's had others, 1 or 2 others where it was just in the back the whole time. This is a repeat opponent, right? I hate getting repeat opponents. I don't know why. I'm just not comfy with rematches. I always think about stopping a laddering session when I start seeing the same opponent multiple times. Even though this team is kind of rolling so far in this video, and there's not much other reason to stop. What did I do last time? I think I led Arceus Chien-Pao, right? And I played aggressively against their Calyrex lead. This is the opponent I think whose Incineroar kept Flare Blitzing when I was afraid of Will-O-Wisp. So that's good. I think I brought this, and Urshifu, but considering all I've been talking about, I'll bring Volcanion this time. They lead their restricted duo. So that's very different look. But they haven't intimidated Chien-Pao. I'm just going to Swords Dance. Can I just Swords Dance? Actually, I think I'm better off bringing Rillaboom in. I think I should bring Rillaboom into the Arceus slot. They probably don't raw Glacial Lance turn 1. But maybe they do. And then I'm sad. But Rillaboom can take away Hadron Engine. It can take a hit from Miraidon. In the meantime, I'm happy to go for that turn 1 Throat Chop into their Calyrex again. They could Glacial Lance here. I really hope they don't. Incineroar comes in, intimidates both of my stuff. It's Glacial Lance. Yeah, the Miraidon lead gave me some idea that they might not be going for Trick Room here. What about Volcanion? Although +1 high horsepower kind of wrecks it, and fake out is also a problem. Ah, well. I mean, I played toward how they played the previous game, and they've changed their plan. That's pretty good stuff by my opponent. I'll go Steam Eruption into Calyrex. Maybe it... I mean, I think Volcanion probably gets faked out, but if not, maybe Calyrex terastallizes. And even if not, this is a strong neutral hit with a good chance to burn. I'll Sucker Punch it as well. Nope. Champow's faster. Trick Room isn't up. I'll Throat Chop it. Terra Water. Okay. So it resists both of my stabs. Doesn't matter which one I picked here, but at least Steam Eruption is the burn chance. No burn. Leech Seed. I hate facing Leech Seed Calyrex, especially when I don't have Taunt on my Champao like I so often do lately. I don't enjoy Leech Seed Calyrex. I think I get across pretty well on this channel that I'm very fond of this game, and I generally love playing it, and I'm not generally bent out of shape about particular meta threats that people find annoying or broken, but Leech Seed Ice Rider Calyrex specifically is one of the few things that kind of get me. Like, I don't think it's broken, and I don't think it should be removed from the game or anything. I just don't tend to have a super fun time facing it. Let's still try to get that burn, I guess. Residual damage would be nice. They actually bring Miraidon back in, huh? And the Incineroar's back to throwing off Flare Blitzes. It only does 30% to Arceus. I will take a burn if I can get it. I do get a burn, okay. I'll go right back to Oh, right, Rillaboom's gone. I could... I mean, I should get rid of the Leech Seed, right? But I totally could Terra Ground the Volcanion and Steam Erupt the Incineroar here, and that might give me a little bit of momentum. I'm going to try it. I'm going to go for a Sword Stance. I don't know if they'll let me get away with the Sword Stance. No, it's Electro Drift into Arceus. And now Volcanion is bad into Calyrex. Well, worse than it already was. So, okay, I got impatient there. The Ice Rider... I also can't switch Volcanion out anymore. That was definitely the wrong play. I got impatient there, and the Leech Seed Calyrex kind of got in my head. But, I mean, I shouldn't be just letting it do that. I don't really have anything good here. Sucker Punch, Earth Power, Miraidon, I guess. If I knock it out, then I don't take Leech Seed damage this turn. Urshifu is free to do what it wants. Let's see if they know about Water Absorb. They don't know about Water Absorb. Okay, that's a small silver lining here, but Volcanion now stands alone against 3 of my opponent's Pokemon since Miraidon just went down. I really hope that Urshifu is Choice Locked. Oh, it might be. It switched out. Maybe I should have Steam Erupted that slot to try to catch Calyrex coming in. Doesn't matter, though, as I'm faked out this turn. Do I just need a... Calyrex is way too healthy right now. Do I just need an Earth Power crit? Is Steam Eruption even worth going for? I mean, a burn's a burn, right? Doesn't matter. Do we even get the burn? We got a crit and a burn. But obviously we're in Glacial Lance range by now. Yeah. Yeah, the Terra Ground play when I made it was just... I got impatient and tried to rush it and it didn't work out. I actually got a crit that turn too, so... I wonder what Earth Power would have done. Oh well, I don't think I was beating Urshifu anyway. Played a 1 more loss maybe, although I don't love getting repeat opponents, but of course this one was guaranteed not to be that same person again at least, and this is a fresh new opponent. We haven't seen this team before. I don't watch usernames that closely, maybe it's not a new opponent, but we haven't seen this team before. Whimsicott, Indeedee, Wellspring Mask, Ogerpon, Shadow Rider, Calyrex, Urshifu, and Koraidon. Very threatening mixed speed control team from the looks of it. And of course they can set up Tailwind or Psychic Terrain or both for that Shadow Rider Calyrex. That's one of the big threats here for sure. But definitely want Champao, I definitely want Rillaboom. It would be reasonable to lead with them, except that kind of loses to Koraidon, I think. Bring Raging Bolt. I haven't brought Raging Bolt to a game yet, and I totally could here. It could be very good, actually, in this matchup. I'm going to try leading... I kind of want to lead Raging Bolt, but what with? I need to find a lead that doesn't just lose to Koraidon is the thing. Well, Chien-Pao Volcanion could work, because I could pressure out the Terra. I'm going to try Chien-Pao Volcanion, Rillaboom, Raging Bolt. It feels really silly, but we'll see how it works. We definitely got Volcanion into this game right away. It's Single Striker Shifu, okay. Ooh, is it Scarfed? I want to Throat Chop the Calyrex instead of Sucker Punching. Ah, they could just Terra anyway, right? But yeah, if I'm attacking Calyrex at all here, I want to Throat Chop instead of Sucker Punching because they could switch Indeedee in. I'll probably get the chance to get the attack off. We'll see if it does anything of value. Let's throw a Steam Eruption in. Okay, Terra Water. Okay, so neutral Throat Chop. It is Scarf for Shifu, so Chien-Pao will probably not get to attack. And Calyrex gets a special attack boost here after this Astral Barrage, which makes it harder for Volcanion to stand up to it, and it just clicks Steam Eruption into Water Absorb. Now I'm the one forgetting Water Absorb, or rather not accounting for it. On the other hand, Rillaboom looks great here. No, Rillaboom doesn't look that great here, actually, because it's not Assault Vest Rillaboom. How well is it going to take a +1? I think I have to do it anyway, but how well is Rillaboom taking a +1 Astral Barrage while its attack is redirected into Ogerpon? Do I go Grassy Glide or Wood Hammer? I think I go Grassy Glide because I think my best bet here is the scenario where I get to click my attack more than once. And given that Rillaboom is outsped by these things, that's more likely to happen if I go for the priority attack. So Grassy Glide into Calyrex, it'll probably be redirected. I guess just Heat Wave. Oh. Okay, interesting. They have Pollen Puff, they take out Rillaboom in one shot. Obviously, the Psychic Terrain turns off the priority on Grassy Glide, but I thought maybe I would get a chance still to land the base attack. Wood Hammer was definitely better there because it's a lot stronger than Grassy Glide, but I thought I would still get an attack off. But yeah, the Pollen Puff got me good there. Also, I was playing like they had brought in Indeedee because the fact that I'd seen 3 of their Pokemon and they still hadn't brought in Indeedee in yet, I was thinking they probably didn't have it in the back, but they did. And now I think I just fold to Astral Barrage. I can't even click Thunderclap. I'll Terra Electric to power up the Thunderbolt in case I ever actually... I think we just attack here, right? Terra Electric to power up the Thunderbolt in case I actually get a chance to do anything with it. But yeah, there's the Follow Me. They actually Psychic to take out Volcanion. Oh, if I protected there... I'd stall one turn of Psychic Terrain, then I could stall another one. Or I would kill another one on the turn where I attack. But then Volcanion's gone either way because it can't protect. Also, Ogerpon's going to redirect my attack now. It doesn't really matter, but I'll take the Protect here just in case. Somehow Raging Bolt can take a +3 Psychic in Psychic Terrain. Oh, it doesn't have to because I go for Astral Barrage, but that's also plenty to knock Raging Bolt out. Some really tricky teams tonight, which I guess makes sense because we're pretty far into Regulation J now. The people who have really been grinding it will have figured out some very powerful stuff. And I don't think a ton of people are playing Reg J anymore, unfortunately, so it's kind of just the diehards to an extent, probably. So I was not able to figure out some of these matchups on the fly, but this team has looked very strong when I get the positioning right. And Volcanion, I don't know if Volcanion was necessarily the best fit, but it put in work against some of these teams. I was very lucky that I ran into Zacian and Kyogre the very first game. That was a great Volcanion showcase. I never ran into a Magearna in this session. There's almost always at least one. But we never even got to see what Volcanion could do against a Magearna, and I bet it would have been pretty impressive. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this team. This was, I mean, not anything super groundbreaking in the builder, but it was a decent little episode. And Volcanion is not a super groundbreaking mythical Pokemon. Most mythical Pokemon are sort of weirder and more experimental. Volcanion is a little bit ordinary in its design, although Fire and Water was a brand new exciting type combination. And Steam, considering how much a lot of competitive players hated Scald, Steam Eruption was kind of a crazy thing to come up with. So Volcanion is not the most ordinary Pokemon design, but it's not the most weird, crazy, out there mythical either. But it's one that can have a decent role on the right team, just showing up and doing a solid job with a very interesting type combination that got it some very fun matchups in this video. So Yeah, decent little run with Volcanion, and this is where I would normally say to come back next time and find out what's next, but we know what's next. And maybe I'll be the one frustrating opponents next time. I hope so, but you'll have to come back and see.